sessions today. Today's topic, we have malware information sharing platform with Microfocus ArcSight, and we have Mohammed Sirajuddin, our pre-sales consultant, who will be delivering the sessions for you. In case you have any questions during the session, I would request you to please put them in the Q&A box and we will answer them at the end of the session. Siraj, over to you.
Hello, can you hear? Bindya, I'm audible to the team members? Bindya, can you hear me?
Yes, Siraj, you're perfect.
Wonderful. Let me start sharing the screen. So Bindya, first of all, thank you very much for connecting me here. Dear team members, good morning. This is Mohammed Sirajuddin. This is our second webinar where we are working with malware information sharing platform. We are focusing on how is MISP working along with Microfocus ArcSight. So a brief agenda for today's session. For today's session, we'll understand what MISP is, what benefits, what does it comprise of, what benefits are we going to get out of it. And we have two demos here. One demo is on ArcSight, how is ArcSight ESM using MISP? And another is ArcSight, how is ArcSight ESM using MITRE attack? In my previous session, which was webinar 1, I was able to give a brief idea about MITRE attack. But in this demo, I have the demo available for the MITRE attack as well. So we'll do two demos. We'll see two different use cases on how ArcSight supports this. So a brief note on myself. My name is Mohammed Sirajuddin. I'm the lead consultant in Redington. You have my contact details mentioned there. I manage the Microfocus security here at Redington, and with ArcSight and 45 being the primary products managing here. So let's proceed with today's session here. Today, I'm going to talk about MISP, Malware Information Sharing Platform. So MISP is a combination of two different, an activity from two different organizations. One is the MISP, who has the sharing platform, and the other is from a Luxembourg organization which provides the intelligence. So together, combined together, we got the MISP sharing platform, Malware Information Sharing Platform. So this platform can be utilized by anyone using a simple API integrations. So this is a platform available to be utilized by the public. It is free, open source platform, which is very much compatible with MITRE attack. So there are a huge number of organizations, and many of them are from the Fortune 500 organizations as well, who is using this platform for their day-to-day analysis. The SOC team are using this for their day-to-day analysis. So what are we going? So how is this going to help ArcSight? What is it going to add value, or is it extremely difficult? I just said it's going to be an API. You can integrate using API integration. So what is the level of complexity involved when we are integrating with ArcSight? And how easy is it, or how difficult is it to use MISP along with ArcSight? So the very first point I would like to tell here is that with MISP and ArcSight integration, it's a seamless integration. The integration is extremely simple, and you get out of the box package available hosted onto the marketplace, where you can download and install on your existing ESM environment, or you can go with the latest ESM 7.2 environment. Remember one thing, 7.2 has the capability for the MITRE attack. The other previous versions, you may have to upgrade to the 7.2 if you have to come up to the MITRE attack. So there is no need of scripting like Python or Perl scripting to be used when you want to integrate or utilize MISP with ArcSight, and there is no registration, no specific activities, and we are not just talking about a threat intelligence feed, which is just a list of IP addresses and URLs. No, we are not talking about that. We are talking about MISP. What does the MISP contains? MISP. This is one of the homepage of MISP, where you can see. Where you can see the index about this is the main page that you gets into that you access when you log into the MISP. What information can you access from MISP? For example, if you are talking about a specific attack or a specific group like APT41, you can get information about them, about their related IP addresses, the URLs, the email addresses associated by this particular group, what they use, the file hashes that the team members uses. So you get a complete set of IOCs. Probably it is 5 different set of IOC information that is readily available. So with ArcSight, the way we integrate with MISP is by installation of a simple connector. All we need to do is install a model import connector for MISP. This model import connector has the capability to integrate with both the publicly hosted MISP cloud, or else if you have your own infrastructure and you want to host your own MISP, you can download the MISP files and then host your own infrastructure. So, so here ArcSight provides you a connector, which is something very similar to a smart connector. This smart connector connects to the MISP site and downloads information in real time and shares this information with the ESM. ESM saves this information in terms of the active lists, where you have multiple level of information available. What we see here is a list of IP addresses and their associations defined by MISP, whether they are malicious, they are suspicious, or what. In addition to that, ArcSight also has additional active lists which capture rest of the information of IOCs. Like we capture the suspicious email list so that we can track the spam activities, phishing activities. We have suspicious domain list, suspicious full URL list, and suspicious file share list. So we have the entire 5 set of information provided by MISP, and MISP provides this free of cost to everyone. Anyone can publicly access MISP and utilize this information. Now, let me take you to a small demo on ArcSight plus MISP. How are we going to utilize this MISP? So before I work on the MISP platform, before I show you the demo, I would like to give you a brief heads up on the use case itself and how the integration is happening. On the use case, on the integration, as I mentioned, we are going to install a connector. The connector will be installed on a separate machine, not on the ESM machine. A very straightforward installation. You need to just get an authentication token from the MISP platform, add the authentication token, add the URL. These are the 2 major parameters that you need to enter, and rest of the thing is something similar to a normal connector installation. Once you add these 2 parameters, your ArcSight ESM, so the connector where you are installing this, one thing to remember is that your connector should have internet connectivity, either through proxy. Proxy is the best mechanism. The connector server should have access to reach the internet so that it can download the information from there and pass on to the ESM. This is the straightforward installation, how ArcSight, how the MISP information can be onboarded to ArcSight. Now, coming on to the use case. So in this particular use case, a brief synopsis here for the use case is that we are going to identify a malware activity which is But this can be any kind of activity. We are in this particular use case, we are tracking ransomware, a ransomware which has not executed but is in the process, is in the stage of being it has just been downloaded, and ArcSight has identified this behavior, and using missed information we have validated this information and confirmed that yes, this is indeed a ransomware that has been downloaded. So let's have a look on how ArcSight is supporting us in this scenario. I have logged in. Okay, let me just go onto the full screen so that you get a better visibility. Yes. Now, I have logged into the ArcSight Command Center. So within the Command Center, I have gone to the Navigator, the dashboards, and I have accessed one of the dashboard, which talks about the reputation data that has been collected so far. So now, what we are talking about the IOCs. We are talking about the IOCs that the connector has downloaded and shared with ESM. Now I have, okay, there are 4 different activities, IOC information that has been collected. There is another way that I can view on this. I click on the tab view so that I get to see individually all 4 dashboards as a sub tab. So now I can easily see that I have the list of suspicious addresses. I have the list of suspicious hash files. So all this information is from the MISP database. I have information about the suspicious URLs, and I have information about the suspicious domains. There is a big difference between URLs and the domains. I'll discuss that later. I'll discuss that in a moment now. So they are very much clearly classified. ArcSight provides you a mechanism that you can drill down and only see information related to a specific kind of attack associated or information. For example, if you want to see anything related to espionage, there are domains related to espionage, you click on this and you get to see that. You have the drill down capability added here. Second thing that I wanted to show here is about the information that is collected. I wanted to show you detailed information on how ArcSight connector, the model import connector, has collected the information and shared with ESM. One was the dashboard that you saw. Another, let's have a look to, okay, let me go to the location. One moment, please, on this threat intelligence platform. Okay, I have this. So these are the active lists. So what I have done is now I have opened the active list. In the previous form, you saw that as a dashboard. Now you are seeing it within an active list, and you get much more information to see here. You see on the left hand side, you see here is the hash value. These hash values are from the malicious softwares, extracted from the malicious softwares. So this is extremely important in an organization. Having this information is extremely important. This is going to be many a times attackers, the CNC controllers, what they do, they might change the file name, the location, the URL, but in all aspects, whatever they change, the hash value remains the same. Hash value is like a primary key to identify any malicious files that exist in your environment. So with the MISP connect, with the MIC connector, model import connector from ArcSight, I have been successfully able to download all this information and look at the level of information that is provided here, and that is shown here in ArcSight. You have the file hash, you have the association mentioned there as per the MISP database. If I go on to the right side, I get to see the description of this, and majority, and sometimes we also get to see on the attackers. let me just see if I can populate this attacker information as well. Okay, we have attacker information as well. Sorry, actor information as well. Actors are a set of group which are very much active to conduct a specific attacks. So all this information, the attack actor information, comes from MITRE. I have another list which is about the addresses. So here I get the list of IP addresses of the IP addresses from the MISP which are associated with malicious behavior. A responsive indicator has also been provided by the MISP database directly. And you have the here is the actor information like Lazarus group. This is Lazarus group is you'll be able to find this within the MITRE attack as well. In the MITRE attack framework, we have a classification clearly classified for the actors as well. So the actors are we can see information about the actors there. And we also get MITRE attack IDs as well. So you get, as I mentioned, it is a combination of the MISP along in compatibility with the MITRE attack. You have the URL list. Remember one thing, when we talk about the URLs, it is important to note here that having a specific domain name and having the URL is two different things. A full URL, no, not every website that you have will be malicious. For example, I can quote you of two examples. One is WordPress, another is GitHub. Both are publicly available, and none of these websites is malicious. But there has been instances where some malware has been hosted on these websites. WordPress, I create my own page for using WordPress, and I can install a malware. So people, whoever access this WordPress page, that they'll be infected with my malware. So it's not the entire WordPress that is infected domain. It's only the specific URL which is infected. So ArcSight is providing you information about the specific URLs now, the exact URL, along with the classification by MISP. And in addition to this, ArcSight is also providing you the domain names, where the entire domain itself is a blacklisted domain. So you have that information existing as well. And finally, we also have the email addresses available. Say, for example, I have this email address, no reply.googlegmail.com, googlegmail@gmail.com. So there is this, when we have a very quick look, and we see that this is a legitimate, it's a Gmail. This is coming from a Gmail account. But if you look at the email spellings, if you look at the spellings, you'll definitely identify that this is not exactly Google. This is a fabricated email address. A malicious user is using it, and MISP has very rigorously classified this as suspicious. So now we are of the understanding that ArcSight is extremely powerful now, since it has a very straightforward integration with MISP. Now let's see what benefits ArcSight. Now let's try to investigate a small use case which I discussed with you. Let me first go to an active channel and see what is happening. Where is my active channel? I go to the events, active channel, and I already have an active channel created for the normal activity that I see, only related to the threat intelligence. Now, which meaning that anything that is coming into this active channel will definitely be related only to the MISP, malware information sharing platform. So I can see here some instances. Let me just try to increase the width of this. Okay, and the information is going on, that's okay. And I see here there are many events coming in, and I see dangerous browsing to a suspicious address. I understood, okay, this is a correlated event and this is a normal event. For people who are aware of ArcSight, they will easily understand what is a correlated event and what is a base event. Now my correlated event is saying that ArcSight has identified a a dangerous browsing to a suspicious address. Now, how did I get this rule? Who created this rule? So this is from the ArcSight marketplace. The ArcSight marketplace is publicly available to everyone. Anyone can log in and download this information. In addition to installing the model import connector, the analyst or the admin will log into ArcSight marketplace and download the threat into the thread package and install the thread package in their ESM. So it contains a list of use cases addressed like dangerous browsing, multiple other issues has been addressed in this particular package. So once you download from the marketplace, you are actually downloading the set of predefined rules. So that is without any modification, that rule has been triggering and identified a dangerous browsing. So if I click on dangerous browsing, I have the option of creating a new channel and do a further investigation. But I also have another mechanism to look at this result. I'll go to visualize events. Say, for example, I'm going to add some components, drag and drop. I have the source, host name. I'll pick up the address. Do I have the address? Source address. Okay. I have the source address. Okay. And I take the target host name. Now let me try to visualize the events. Okay. Now look, on this side, I had a normal sequential information. Now the moment I change the visualization, I get to see information, the same information represented in a different way, in a more intuitive graphical way. Fine, I understood. Like I see top 10 names. Okay. Dangerous browsing, SSL, suspicious information, suspicious file hash. I see this 10 different activities. But the biggest thing that worries me a lot here is the suspicious file hash activity in host. We all know that, we all from the security background, we know that suspicious file hash observed means that someone has already, means that there is a malicious file already existing in my environment. This is the biggest worry for me now. Now, what other information do I see here? I get to see here that top source machines. Source machines are my own internal machines. So I get to see here that two important machines are there, which is extremely important to me in this. One is the Oracle database. This is my Oracle credit card database. This machine is saving the credit card data. And this machine, HRDB. HRDB is my human resource database. These two are extremely important machines that I have here. Now I'm actually in a panic kind of situation, saying like, what happened? Why are these servers showing, getting listed into the MIST platform? What is happening? I'm very much curious to understand what is happening on this. The very first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to identify what is happening on my machine. Let me just go. I saw dangerous file browsing. I'll to HRDB. Let me just click on this particular event. Sorry, I have to select view event. Channel loaded. Actually, I need to pause it for a minute. So I get to see, I'm going to start identifying this information. I want to see what is happening on my servers, what information is being shared. So I click on this. Basically, I had to go on to the previous side, but that's okay. I click on this. I click on view details. Now my view details is showing me, as I know, like every correlated event comes with the basic event. So I see that there is an accept event coming in. So now I need to understand more. Either I can search field by field, or I can go ahead and identify, select one of the field set. Say, for example, I have a field set available for me, which I had already created to identify threat related information. So I use my created field set. Now I can see the data is very well classified. I can see here now that my source machine is listed here. Information is coming from checkpoint firewall and accept, which means firewall is saying it's an accepted activity. Now I need to understand further what is happening on this. So what do I do since I have this information? Since I have this information, I will go back to, I'll close this. I'll go back to the active channel. I'll go back to my main active channel. Active channel. I'm actually in active channel. So I'll try to open the same active channel. I wanted to understand. I'll close the sub channel. I want to see the main channel here. In the main channel, I wanted to see some more information, some events that can give me more information about this. So what I'm trying to do here is that I'm trying to identify if I have any specific information available in terms of file hash, because file hash was the most important information that I had seen there. So I want to understand if there is any such specific activity observed. I see some file hashes here. I see some file hashes. I'm just trying to stick on to that. I can filter the data here. Let me do one thing. I got a file hash here. So what I'm going to use, I'm going to use this file hash information with an integration command. I observed a file hash information. I want to use VirusTotal to check what is happening with the file hash. I have ArcSight has a built-in information to identify the file hash. So now, why did I select file hash? I got the results from MITRE ATT&CK as well. I got the information from VirusTotal as well. ArcSight had a built-in integration command where it is viewing the details with VirusTotal. ArcSight took the file hash, shared with VirusTotal. VirusTotal reviewed and gave me the result. Out of the 69 engines, 58 engines have identified that this is extremely malicious. I have nothing further to discuss on this. This helps me conclude that, man, my machine has been completely infected with a file hash where VirusTotal has been confirming that the file hash observed by ArcSight is indeed a malicious file hash. So how did I get this file hash? We get file hash from various tools. Like, for example, if I have Microsoft Sysmon installed in my platform, that Microsoft Sysmon gives me file hashes, or any EDR solution that exists in the organization gives us file hashes. Now I got to understand that file hash was already existing on my machine. I would like to know one more thing. One more thing I would like to identify from this is I want to know which other machines is this file hash existing. So I'm gonna check. I'm gonna create a filter and see like what other machines are there on which the file hash is observed. I want to run and see if wherever this file hash is observed, it is confirmed to me that this machine has been compromised. I have to take an immediate action on that. So now I get to see, like, I see my Oracle credit card data server, and I see my human resource database server. Both are listed here, showing that they have the same file hash downloaded. This is extremely critical. One thing that I wanted to remember here is that when I go back to my main activity, for example, I close this channel, I go to my main platform, you see there are multiple correlated events identified, which means ArcSight has telling me here that suspicious file hash observed. First, ArcSight told me there has been a dangerous browsing activity observed. Then ArcSight told there is a suspicious file hash observed. Then ArcSight is showing me consecutive unsuccessful login, and it's showing me outbound communication to malicious sites, phishing addresses. This confirms to me that there has been a download on this machine where some people, some of my team members have logged in. I have the source username as well. For example, HAL. User HAL has logged into my machine, logged into the host server, the credit card data server, and he has browsed an email. He has browsed internet from the server, and during his browsing activity, which is actually a violation that he has done, he is not supposed to browse any websites through the server. He should have used his workstations, but here he logged into the server directly and browsed the website. So in this process, there was a file downloaded, and which ArcSight has identified it, and then there has been sequential communication to the command and control center done from the server. Now this concludes my demo for MISP. We observed that how easy is onboarding the data, MISP data with ArcSight is. What enrichment level of information can we see in ArcSight once it is integrated with MISP? How easy is it to navigate within the console to identify the related information? We see we see the built-in rules provided, built-in functionality provided by ArcSight for analysis purpose, and we also saw the integration command where we are in a position now to go check, cross-verify the information that has been observed, and get more confident of the results. So I conclude this session. I conclude this MISP activity here. I'll proceed now with another demo, which is on the MITRE ATT&CK framework. A brief overview on the MITRE ATT&CK framework. I had already discussed. My previous webinar was on the MITRE ATT&CK framework. What is MITRE ATT&CK framework? Where we discussed in an extremely deeper level. But for now, I'm gonna discuss majorly on the Navigator part, which can help you understand. I'll just try to cover a bit here so that people who were not there in the webinar 1 can have a brief understanding. So MITRE ATT&CK is again a non-profit organization providing a list of tactics and techniques to identify cyber attacks. This is a very extremely useful information which is utilized by the analyst, threat hunt teams, the response teams to identify further analysis. MITRE has classified the information across 12 domains and hundreds of techniques classified. So now the row that you see here is nothing but the domains. These are the tactics and these are the techniques that are identified. So now, for example, I have an execution. The moment I hover my mouse on execution, so right now we are into mitre.microfocus.com. This is the Navigator page for ArcSight, MITRE Navigator page developed by Microfocus here. So now what is the benefit it is going to give us is, I hover my mouse on the tactics, it gives me a simple explanation of what this tactic is about. The adversary is trying to run malicious code. Now look at the techniques. The techniques are highlighted with the technique ID. The moment I click on the technique ID, the moment I click on the technique ID, I get further more information on the specific information on the specific resources. For example, say I have a command and control. I click on a connection proxy, another technique. So what is happening? The moment I click on this, ArcSight tells me, ArcSight Navigator page tells me that we have the following content hosted within the marketplace. If you are using the connection, the technique connection proxy can be identified with these two packages which are already existing in marketplace, meaning that I download these packages, then my ArcSight is in a position to identify this particular technique. I click on the information, the technique is clearly explained in very simple terms. What exactly is the technique? How exactly can I use this technique? Now, let's take it with this information. Let's go a bit further and see how ArcSight is helping us in achieving this, in keeping up the MITRE framework. Now, the very first thing that I would like to take you to, let me close this because we finished the MISP. I close on the MISP information. So now I would first like to take you to the MITRE attack activity. Look at the MITRE attack activity. This is a dedicated dashboard made only for MITRE attack within ArcSight. So what is ArcSight? What information am I getting here in this is that this is related only to my organization where the events the ESM is collecting. So in the from all the events that is being collected, ArcSight has identified that so many, whatever you see on the dashboard are the different techniques that are being executed in my organization. Now these are the techniques that are used for that are used by the cyber attack teams. So now, for example, if I go ahead and click on one of the technique, I get two level of information. One is a technique ID, another is the generated rule. Now it tells me like which ArcSight rule has generated this particular, which ArcSight rule has identified this activity, and when was this activity identified. If I click on this page, technique ID, what happens is, technique ID gives me a proper information about T1489. This is what we were seeing there. Now this takes me to the MITRE attack page where it gives in detail as what is the service stop, what is this about, what are the procedures that's existing, how do we mitigate this, how do we detect and mitigate this. So any analyst, if this information is shared to the analyst, if an analyst gets to see this information, there is a huge amount, this adds a huge amount of value to his work, because he not only got to identify a cyber attack happening in his organization, but also identified how he can do further analysis and how he can stop this activity. Now let me get back to the command center page. Let me just see the next component. What information am I seeing here? I click on the rule which said they have observed this activity. So let me just wait until the channel loads. Okay, the channel has started loading. Until it loads, let me just go back to the MITRE attack. Let the channel load. Let me just check this a bit up. Okay, I see that ArcSight has reported DOS activities alerted by IDS. IDS has been alerting multiple DOS activities happening. Now, I also understood from my from my customer support team that many customers are complaining of our website being very slow and very non-responsive. So this is the feedback that my team has been, my customer support team has been giving us. So we have initiated an investigation to see what is happening. Why is our website, public website, being slow and unresponsive? Here, what we see here is that our IDS has already alerted, sent alerts saying it has observed DOS activity. Now, I would like to visualize this information in a better way. I click on Visualize Events. I drag attacker address, I add a name, and I want to see, I'm just trying to visualize the information in a different way, nothing else. So I put on the target address and I say Visualize Events. Okay. So my visualization of events, I got top 10 attackers. So I see all the attackers from 134 series, but they are not same. They are all different attackers. I see they are all different attackers, different IP addresses. And go. I see that the target is nothing but one single target, which is nothing but my web server. I know from ArcSight modeling that it's a web server. Let me quickly go to the events and try to understand what exactly is this. Let me just go ahead, click on this, click on view details. Okay, let me just type too many fields, so I need to be very quick. Let me just type attacker. My spelling is wrong. So it's giving me a source details, and it's giving me what is the target details. Okay, now it is confirmed to me because of the network modeling and other information. I clearly see that this is my web server which is under attack. My web server is under attack. Now I got to see from the from one of the dashboard that there were IDS attacks. A rule was triggered for the DOS activity. When we did analysis, we saw that IDS was reported heavy DOS activity. With our small visualization, we also see that this is a DDoS kind of activity where multiple sources are coming from different destination and attacking only one particular host, which is my web server. So now I see multiple destinations attacking my web server. I want to do further analysis. I'll go to the dashboard. I want to see further activity, what's happening on this. I go to the overview dashboard, MITRE attack overview. MITRE attack overview gives me the very recently seen attack events. Now in the recently seen attack events, I see DOS activity detected, and I see the same IP address of my web server. This is my web server IP. Now this makes me more confident that yes, the attack is actually recent and is going on. That is the reason my customer support team has been complaining of this. So let me do further analysis on this. I go to another dashboard on targets. I want to see what target is being utilized. So this is further strengthening me that the dashboard is saying the biggest target is your web server. One of the biggest biggest target is my web server itself. Again, so what I'm going to do is I still need more information. I want to see what is the relationship between the attacker and target. How is this happening? So let me just scroll down to another dashboard which gives me this information. So I can see on one side I have the source, on the another side I have the target, and in between I have the ArcSight MITRE attack framework ID. So I click on this, it tells me which machine to which machine is the connection with. Now I can see in this segment that all the connections are going towards All the connections are going towards my public IP, which is this machine. So I can see on the left hand side, whatever you see are the different sources which are joined together by a single MITRE framework ID, and this is connected to my and this is attacking my web server. Now I need to do further investigation on what is happening on this. There has been 14 different attacks that has been sent on this. Of one single machine is, this is my machine and this is the framework ID, and these are the different sources. This now confirms to me that there is the slowness of activity that has been identified, that has been given by that has been informed to me by my customer support team is nothing but a DDoS attack happening on our web server. I can further do the analysis on to see from where the information came in, what happened. I have to perform the same activity steps. So in this particular use case, I would conclude my use case at this level. And in this particular use case, we saw how MITRE attack has been clearly helping with ArcSight, how ArcSight has been clearly descripting, showing us which specific MITRE attack has been identified. MITRE attack activity, cyber attack activity has been identified in our organization, and it gave me a proper way of channels to navigate and identify and isolate the exact issue which is causing the problem. So at this point of time, I think I'll go ahead, conclude my session to take up some of your questions. Bindya, over to you. Any questions for me on this?
Okay, thank you, Siraj. Thanks for the session, and thank you, everyone. I hope all of you have a great day ahead.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Thanks, Bindya. Thank you. Bye-bye.